So
I understand that.
I had to fly back out. I'm out on Dry Branch, and it normally would take me about a good 40, 45 minutes, and I made it a lot less than that. I'm not proud of my driving today, but I didn't kill anything that I know of with there. Okay.
Ready?
This is Joy Gridden, and I'm working with the Haldeman Community Oral History Project. This is February 27th, 2013. We're at the Haldeman Community Center, and I'm talking today with Mr. Austin Knipp. And I'm going to ask him if he can start out by telling us a little bit about his own personal family and his family's history with Haldeman.
First of all, I'll start with my father, Lawrence Knipp, well known in the community. He was an employee of the old brickyard until 1953. And this is the year, if I remember correctly, they had their strike down here and things sort of began to shut down. And my personal opinion is that was the beginning of the end of the area as far as economics was concerned. In 1950, I started school down at the old school building, we called it, the old brick building down at the intersection of Haldeman Road and now Open Fork Road. It was, and I remember one thing that really stands out in my mind was one morning our first grade teacher had us all stand up, go to the window and said, "We're going to see history today." So we were all excited, and it's just as plain at this moment now, we saw the first diesel-powered engine come through on the railroad that morning. So that was, we were all excited about that. And in those days, the cafeteria was here at this school. The new school, we called it, or the big school. Lunchtime, we would line up in great fashion. We'd walk from the old school to the new school to get our lunch. Really some fond memories. I attended school here until after the 10th grade. We did not have the 11th and the 12th grade here at our school at that time. And from there we went to Moorhead to finish.
What was that like going into Moorhead after you've been to school here for the rest of your time?
Well, really I felt misplaced. And you know, after all those years, and you get acclimated to everything and the way things work, and it didn't work that way in another school. You know, all of them are different. So it was quite a period of adjustment, I think, for all of us students. But some went on to do very well. Evidently, we all survived.
And how did it impact your family when you mentioned the strike and that the brickyard started to kind of have problems, or the certainty of working there wasn't so certain anymore?
Right. Well, as far as Dad was concerned, he started doing carpenter work at that time and worked at that until he retired. So it was. He had definitely moved out and went on, as did a lot of other neighbors.
And I've heard that a lot of people did other kinds of work all along to sort of supplement what they made working at the brickyards or in the mines, like carpentry work or other things.
Everybody did something, other loggers, and just anything that they could pick up as, an extra income. Times were not the best.
Did the mines, I understand that those working in the mines got paid more than the ones working in the brickyard?
That was like a hazard pay, I'm assuming. I can't remember too clearly, how it did. Dad did try the mine first, when he first went to work, but he just couldn't handle that. And I can understand. I don't think I could either. But it takes special people to go under the ground.
Did you know anybody that got hurt?
Yes, I did. Several. One old timer. I remember very well. His family lived rather close to us. We lived around on US 60, Hayes Branch area, we call it. He fell into the pit over here where the clay come off the hill, and they had like a hopper-like pit that had a huge, big auger in there that pulled the clay and pulverized it into the mixing tray, and he fell in there. It didn't kill him, but it cut him up, severely. But that was just one. I don't remember, as far as cave-ins and that type of stuff, no.
And I've heard some used to go that there was a big kind of reservoir of water that was created from the mines, and kids used to go swimming there and things like that.
Well, there did. I remember one time when I was in school here during the noon hour, some of us would sort of get off the school grounds and we would go back behind the school on top of the hill. There was a big pond back there. And we like to play around that. I won't say we got in the water, but...
And some said there was fish in there, and I said, well, how'd the fish get in there? They didn't know. They said
well,
there was fish in there.
In the later years, it became stagnated. Fish couldn't live in it. It was...
pretty polluted.
It wasn't a very...
stuff that came out of
yeah, it was...
mines. Did your family have a garden?
Oh yes, my mother was a big canner. That was her life. We didn't buy a lot of groceries. We had a big garden, vegetable garden, and our potatoes, and corn, and the beans, strawberries.
Now I've heard some people talk about there were different programs, maybe from the extension office or whatever, to get people to raise certain things or help people raise certain things like strawberries.
Right. During the 50s, there was a co-op in Round County that they actually had a market for their strawberries. There were several farmers around that took advantage of that. It was something for us young ones too. I remember I got a nickel a quart for picking the strawberries. It was a big deal, if you made $1.50 a day, you did really good.
Did you ever sell blackberries?
Oh yes, that was something else we did. It was just things, and I go back to think, that was the best time of my life, really.
Were a lot of the buildings, I've heard of tennis courts and a pavilion where people would kind of sit out and listen to music sometimes. There was an ice cream shop. Was all of that still up there when you were little?
No, it was, it was there, but I don't remember it being used. We have found my wife's family, her grandfather was a supervisor at the brickyard, and they had a huge hotel up here in those early on. And her grandmother worked at the hotel. So.
And what was her name?
Her name was Mary Jane Carty.
And your wife's name?
Was Mary Ann. She was a Parker.
And so there was a big hotel. Who stayed there? People came.
Well, it was. In those days, this was the cultural and financial center of the county. Really, I mean, people came from Moorhead up here on the weekends. It was just a big place, really.
Did you have any restaurants, or was there a restaurant?
All their restaurant was in the hotel. There was, as a matter of fact, I can remember two, even as late as I came along. It was quite interesting.
And stores.
Stores. There was one just down the road here, about a quarter mile, a huge store. And then there was another one down where the Haldeman Road goes on US 60, like a mercantile store.
And those, by that time, they weren't like, I understand there was like...
There was a company store, yes. There was a company store on the brickyard property. And lots of the employees would actually, they had like a charge account through the week, and what their debt was just held out of their paycheck.
Did it cost any more to go to that store?
Now that I really don't know.
Because other people I've heard said they didn't really go to that store. They just bought at the independent stores. Then did you, when you got out of high school, what did you do? Did you leave? Did you stay here?
I got out. I stayed in Moorhead for a year, and I went to northern Indiana. My uncles had been gone sometime. They were up there. They were loggers, but I went to work at a mobile home factory.
And what year was that? Do you remember when you went up there?
I do. That was in 1963. I graduated in 62. So I went up there in 63 and came back to the community and married my high school girlfriend. We're still married 48 years later.
Wow, congratulations. So did you come back right after, or did you stay in northern Indiana?
I stayed there for quite a while, and then I became an over-the-road trucker, and we moved into Ohio, and went until 1988, November, we moved back to Kentucky.
And were you retired?
No, I wasn't retired. I was still trucking and did until up to 2003, I believe it was.
And so were you one of them that was involved in getting the center going?
Had somewhat. I didn't work near as hard on it as some of the others have. I was really quite busy, but I helped some. And glad to see it getting together, and would like to see it finished. I think it would be, once it's recognized, and here we are, it may bring something back. At least I can hope that.
What do you think is the best thing you can do for the young people in the community? Why would it be important to them, do you think?
I think it would, it will cause a family atmosphere. I think it would actually pull us together. Seems like the way things go today, everybody wants to go in a separate direction. And we need something to sort of be a magnet, something to pull us in. Family is valuable. And whether we're related or not, I think we ought to be family.
Was your family originally from this area, or did they move here?
They moved here from Carter County.
Did they move here because of the brickyards, or just?
No, it just seemed to be a migration thing. During the war, people did. And there was evidently a little something to do in this area, more than the area they were in Carter County. And that's another whole story. That really goes into history. My grandfather, Knipp, was quite a tinkerer, and I don't know, maybe some are familiar with the Sellers glider plane that flew in Carter County back during those years, early turn of the century. My grandfather actually made parts for that plane. So, but anyway, from that point, and when the war, World War II started, people began to move a little bit, looking for some sort of a means of support. And during that, while my dad was in Italy, mother found property over here and bought it, and that's where things started.
So your dad was in World War II, mm-hmm. and then he came after that to Haldeman. So he didn't work very long in the brickyards before they started to
No, he didn't. Dad came out of the Army in 1945. It was probably 1948 before he went into the brickyard. So he was only there, 3 or 4 years.
And did he seem to like it okay?
Well, in those days, if you had a paycheck, you were fortunate. So, people did what they had to do, but Dad was not the type to complain. We didn't know.
It's that World War II generation.
That's just the way it was, he would come home and here it is, supper's on the table. Mother didn't ask us, what would you like to have? She always said, supper's ready, and
I appreciate that.
that's just the way it was.
And did she you said she canned and had the garden, did she do any sewing or quilting or anything else she was interested in doing?
She did. She quilted and canned. That was my mother. She has hand stitched many quilts.
And her name
hundreds.
was?
Ola. She
Ola.
was Ola. She was a Stevens. Way deep in Carter County. But mother did that. Sold some.
Are there any special memories that you remember from doing things with your friends in the summer or holidays or anything like that that stands out as good memories for you, or bad memories, I guess?
We didn't get far from home. We did very little traveling. But Christmas was always a big time. We had a Christmas dinner, but always on Christmas Eve. Christmas Day was just turning loose, and but those were the times that I remember. And Mom and Dad took us to church. I mean, it was something we did not miss.
On Christmas Eve or
every time a church door was open, Mom and Dad were there.
Did they have any kind of special things, a Christmas play or anything at church?
No. They were the old time Baptists. They went and sang and preached, and lots of times we'd go to someone's house and eat dinner afterwards.
And was the church here in the Haldeman area?
There was one around on US 60. There was several at that time around the area. Lots of those are gone now.
And was there any special summertime things that you kids did?
Yeah, we like to sneak out and go swimming in the creek. We did do that and run in the woods.
Didn't have anything to worry about in terms of crime or anything like that?
I don't remember that being a worry. It may have been, but we children we just didn't seem to have the knowledge of it.
People didn't lock their doors or
Right.
anything like
Well,
that?
Mother's door was never locked until the last few years they lived. She said somebody might want a drink of water. That was just the way life was.
And did your family have a car? Because most people are saying, no, we didn't have a car. We'd ride the bus into town or the train.
We did. I remember 2 cars that we had. Most of the time, Dad had just an old pickup truck. We rode in the back and we went. But then later, he had a 55 Chevy. It's the one I learned to drive. But I do remember it. And then he had one 1957 Chevy, which my brother wound up with. But
He still has it?
no, he doesn't have it anymore. But a car was something that had to last. It had to serve a purpose. And it seemed like when Dad got a vehicle, he was married to it. It was theirs until it wore out and then get something else.
So if you hadn't traveled much, going up to northern Indiana, that must have been you were in the city, I'm assuming.
Actually, it was a rural area I was in. It was about 40 miles south of South Bend, Indiana. There's a little small town called Culver, which had a military academy, and we lived just south of Bend. I worked in another little town called Argus. Ridgecraft Trailer Company, never forget them. But that was a big deal and a big adventure for someone who had been driving less than a year to take off and make that kind of a trip. It was really something. 1951 Plymouth.
Wow. And then to become a truck driver, and you're going clear cross country, I'm assuming, or did you have a closer?
Well, I did. No, I ran all 48 states in Canada. 3 million miles. That's a lot of traveling. a lot of sightseeing.
And how do those places compare to Haldeman? That's probably not a fair question.
This is still home. Seems like all roads turn back this way. It's something that a person who I feel really enjoys his childhood, he can't get away from that. You just, there's no getting that out of the back of your mind. It won't go away. And there's always been that sort of yearning to come home.
And how many siblings did you have, brothers and sisters?
I had 3 brothers and a sister.
And are any of them still here, or are they in other places?
As a matter of fact, we're all here. One just passed away this past fall. Yeah, he was working down at the university at the radio station. Yeah, quite a battle, but we miss him. We're all here within, I don't know, 10 miles. Brother next to me, I think he's about 10 miles out.
And your children? Do you have children?
I have 3, and one adopted. So we got 4.
4 children. And
Yes.
are they in this area, or are they?
They're all here too. Yes.
Right. And grandchildren?
Grandchildren, 8.
And
8 great grandchildren.
And so I'm guessing you're hoping that they will find ways to be able to
I
stay
hope they
close.
can. I hope they can. But maybe this will be a way.
Anything else that you'd like to add?
I do have some history here if you'd be interested in it. Of our area, I found some books that have map, property boundaries, drawings of the old brickyard in the area, the schools.
That would be very helpful.
So
We'd
you
like
are
to photograph.
welcome to them. Even the book has stories of events.
Oh, wow.
Different. They're all dated. It gets a little personal. Actually, names are mentioned, which maybe we should or shouldn't. But in the back of this book, there are actual drawings of the old school that built down the road here originally.
When was that torn down? I understand it was still used even after it was starting to have some structural problems.
It did. It had structural problems when I started school in 1950, but it lasted quite a while after that, maybe 10, 12 years. I don't remember just exactly when they tore the building down.
I heard they used to have like things like different shows, like reptile shows or something.
Oh, they had, you name it, if the imagination could draw it up. They had a lot of performing arts.